Good morning. Big Joe here, along with Jeff Rickard from the Morning Show. And we just wanted to make sure that you know to rise and shine with our new FM frequencies, only on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. We're already moved in. Come on over and have a listen.
And as we did a year ago, very pleased on Monday mornings to welcome in Jeff Saturday. Proud Indianapolis Colt alum and just a man about town. Great football coach now down south. And he joins us every Monday here all season long here on the Fan Morning Show. Brought to you by More Restoration, the experts in fire, environmental, and water damage restoration. It's been too long since we've said that, Jeff. How are you, sir?
Fantastic. How you guys doing this morning?
We're doing all right, but, man, that was a tough one to swallow yesterday because it felt like they did just about everything right, didn't they?
Yeah, when you watch the game and you're kind of going back to it in your head, you're wondering, hey, what should I have done differently, right? We ran it well. We do these things. We push it late in the fourth quarter, get it to overtime. At the end of the day, look, Vinny had a tough day. That's always, that's a rarity, obviously, for a guy who'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer. So just one of those days, man, where you feel like you've done everything you can do. Started slow but came back and early season. A couple things I probably would, you're going to look back at today and go, hey, what should you run defense being one that you wish you'd have been better on, just from in totality, because you could see at the end of the game in overtime it began to kind of wear down on guys. You started seeing hands on hips, heads raised back. And that's why you run the football in the NFL, is to try to fatigue guys late in the game. And ultimately, LA, they got the better of us with the coin flip and the win at the end.
Jeff, one of the things I was worried about was the conditioning and not seeing this offensive line come back. And year to year, you may have the same guys, but you're not really sure where you might pick up the pace. And obviously, they finished very, very strong. This offensive line was absolutely dominant, especially in that second half. And that's got to make you feel good. I know it makes Jacoby Brissett feel good.
No, absolutely. And listen, pad level, getting off the ball, kind of aggressiveness to the end, a 2-point conversion. You and I both heart skipped a beat when when he hands that thing back. You go to trips, and you basically at quads one side, he rotates over and he goes in. I'm thinking, what in the world? And then he just keeps driving his feet, and those O linemen are scoring with their men. Driving their defensive linemen into the end zone, and that's what you got to have. There's definitely a mentality there. They're building on. Even when we talked a week or so ago, you can tell these guys that they know not only nationally they have a name for themselves, but they continue to progress. They're going to be talked about being one of the best in the NFL. And so when you're at that point, especially as young as they are, it's exciting for those guys, and they played a heck of a ball game against a pretty good group.
All right, these Jacoby doubters out there. This is really what Jacoby Brissett is. I think. I think he can get down the field a little bit more if he needs to. They really didn't have a whole lot of completions to the running back or the tight ends, but he's a guy that can get it done. And as exciting as a 2-point conversion was, I absolutely love the Devin Funchess got to get the first down. That was gutty.
Yeah, and listen, you're exactly right. This is. This is a guy who has been an understudy to two of the best in the NFL, and really has been kind of undervalued in how good he is. And you and I both know guys who are sitting in that 2 position for that long, they're just waiting for their opportunity. And I think he jumped on it and played about as well as expected. I mean, better than expected, in my opinion, from what you're saying, like what you're talking about, guys who are kind of hating on him. But this is exactly who he could be, and I think this is step one. I mean, I think he progresses from here as he feels more and more comfortable, as Frank gets more and more comfortable understanding, hey, what does he really like? And you and I both know that's going to take 10 games. I mean, that just didn't come along, week one of understanding when you're going through an entire off season, progressing along, having ideas of what plays you're going to call and how it's going to go, and Nick's thinking about, okay, well, we did this well, and Andrew, like this, that offensive coordinator is who I'm speaking of. But you and I both know you have this mindset about you're going about it, and then with the turn of events, Jacoby's kind of thrust into this thing. But to your point, man, he's a gutsy kid. He plays good. I mean, he is not going to be a guy that you're going to look back and go, oh man, this kid's a liability. this kid can do some really good things. And my favorite thing about the Colts, the no excuses, man, because they got a good football team that's going to compete this season.
Jeff Saturday joining us here on the Fan Morning Show, brought to you by More Restoration, experts in fire, environmental, and water damage restoration. And Jeff, real quickly, because you and I haven't talked about this, what were you thinking? Where were you on that Saturday night when Andrew Luck said, "Nope, I'm done, can't do it anymore"?
Yeah, I was sitting at the house. We got home late, and my phone had blown up. I can't remember what I was doing, but I looked down. I had like 100 texts. I'm thinking, what in the world? And it was one of those shocking kind of days. But man, people know I respect the heck out of Andrew Luck and what he done and what he did as a Colt. But the reality is, and it sounds harsh, but it's not meant to be. Is football moves on, the Colts move on, and you wish him the absolute best with he and his wife, and he's going to have a heck of a life, hopefully there in Indy or somewhere around that area. But this is a Colts team that had to play yesterday and will continue to play 15 more and hopefully some more in the playoffs.
All right, the Monday after the opening weekend here is overreaction Monday like no other. Falcons, Steelers, Bears, and Browns are not going to win a game all year, right?
That's right.
Who's the biggest surprise there of what happened?
I would say Falcons to me was probably the biggest surprise. I mean, the score is not going to look as lopsided. I was shocked they couldn't get more going, and I think a lot of Minnesota. So it's not bad. I just thought with Matt Ryan and the guys you're talking about, it's not a young offense. I know they have some offensive linemen that are young on the right side, but they're not a young team. And so I was a bit surprised there. Cleveland, I still am not sure how all those pieces fit together. And so that to me wasn't as big a surprise. I mean, losing, I don't mean the way of losing. I wasn't overly blown away. I'll be honest, though, the biggest surprise for me was New England, the dismantling of Pittsburgh. I mean, I did not expect that. And if that's not getting everybody else in the NFL concerned already in week one, if we're going to overreact, let's overreact to that one. You line up and hoist another banner and then go take, arguably one of the best teams in the AFC and just put the hammer down. I was like, good heavens, what happened? You know what I mean? So if we're going to overreact, you and I both know, man, let's overreact to that one because that's the one we don't like the most.
Man, it still makes me sick, Jeff, to see you and Robert Kraft buddying up like you did at the collective bargaining. I will not let that go, my friend.
Oh, boy.
I love you.
Oh, boy.
All right, so how much of this has to do with guys actually practicing in the preseason to see what New England did?
Nah, listen.
You don't think there's a lot to that, huh?
No. Listen, you and I both know, man. It's practicing. I understand people think about preseason games. The reality is, I probably played 30 snaps in preseason. As much as you're practicing throughout the preseason and throughout all the matchups you're having with teams, you're getting plenty of work. You're not walking in. That's not the first drive you're having of the second half. In people's mind it is, but when you're practicing, you're putting a practice schedule together, you're understanding where you're trying to push guys. So I don't buy into a whole lot. I buy into, the 33% attrition rate pretty much it happens on every year when you're getting new guys and new schemes and you're kind of figuring it out. I've always said, I think the first 4 games of a season, most people are trying to figure out who they are and what they are going to be decent at so they can really start to hone in on what their strengths are going to be. And I don't think you can hurry that process. As good as teams played and as bad as teams played, I think ultimately we're still kind of in the blind on what teams are ultimately going to be. And that has been since I played. It'll continue to be. Way back when you played in leather helmets, Joe, it was there too. There's no surprise.
I love you.
Surprise to you either when you were working in the factories before you came on over.
Exactly.
For your preseason, man. And so
right after you got off the boat.
Yeah. Well, you rich kids, you just quit whenever you want now because you got all that money.
Oh boy!
Take my ball and go home. I'm out.
All right, so
don't enjoy playing with the Rocks.
All right, so could Antonio Brown finally be what takes New England down would having too many good players finally take them down because of all the misfits?
Absolutely not. He would be gone before his seat gets warm if they feel like that locker room is turning or tilting. They are very comfortable with bringing in vets and getting them to adhere to their culture, and that will not change with Antonio Brown. And if it does change, they will send him on. I mean, you have seen it time and time again, and they'll bring guys in. And the funny thing is that, you know, people don't remember the Ocho Cinco or even Reggie or, a bunch of guys who have gone up to New England just for a brief stint and, either didn't feel like it was a fit for them or vice versa. I think their culture will weed that type of stuff out. That to me is probably the best part of their organization. And so I don't think that. I think the whole way this thing has played out for Antonio Brown, he's brought with the way he's acted and all that kind of stuff. You can completely understand the Raiders. And it's always interesting because when it happened, this is no joke, when it happened on Saturday morning, I'm sitting with one of my buddies in Carolina, and I said, he'll be with the Patriots by this afternoon. And here's what his deal is going to be. And it was almost exactly. And I just laughed because, they're just sitting there in the catbird seat, man, just smiling, knowing, hey, we can get another guy, one-year deal, no risk, all reward type stuff. And it's just, it's just the way it fell into their lap and it's the way that they process. But I do not think that will affect them in a negative way and ultimately cost them.
And Jeff, it's one way that they can bring in top-level talent because they're never going to be in the top 10 for an NFL draft pick. So one of the reasons that if you go back and look, a lot of the guys that they trade for, acquire, try to reclaim, many of them are former first-round draft picks. I think it's kind of Bill's way of trying to get talent when otherwise it might not be available.
Yeah, absolutely. He's not going to reach. I mean, he's going to build his team foundationally and knowing the pieces and parts that he has to make what they're going to do successful. And like you said, these are all this is all the whipped cream for them. It's the pieces that, hey, if we get him, great. If we don't, we're still going to be okay. I mean, you think about last night. I mean, they hang up a huge number against Pittsburgh. That's without him, and so they are not concerned with who's in, Gronk left, whatever. They just continue to reload and in their fashion. But that's a great point of what you said. They're always bringing in guys who have had either a decent name or a high draft pick or played well, and they're going to bring them in and just add them. The thing that gets them is they don't have these long, sticky contracts. And that, for whatever reason, however he's managed the cap and they've done, this is a one-year deal, whether it's $15 million, $10 million, $9 million, whatever it is, they can work around it because they're not leveraging their future. That's what ruins locker rooms, to Joe's point, and he knows as well as I do. When you start jumping in and you've got 6-year deals and 5-year deals, and all of a sudden you're scrambling, that's what ends up hurting you in the future. But to bite the bullet and make a move in 1 year, a lot of teams can afford that and get away with it, and they do an excellent job of it.
All right, Jeff, AFC South, we'll see Houston tonight, the 7 o'clock kickoff there. But Jacksonville loses, and not only loses their quarterback, so they're going to have to go with a rookie. And then Tennessee gets the win, and Delaney Walker is kind of like reborn in that game, whatever. What do you like, dislike? What do you think about the AFC South and where the Colts fit in?
Man, Tennessee looked good. That one to me, the dismantling, I was a little bit surprised. I mean, I wasn't surprised that they had a chance to win. I was surprised at the way they did it. Physically, Derrick Henry looked really good again. Screen game, run game. They kind of just do. Vrabel's got them back to old school. It's just kind of, I'm going to take what I can. I'm going to be physical. I'm going to play good defense. So I think they even though they've probably been overlooked by media, they in their minds have an idea. Hey, this is going to be our deal. Jacksonville, that's tough, man. I mean, you're not even 20 minutes into your season and you've lost your quarterback. If it's not for the year, it's going to be for a long time. Anytime you're dealing with your collarbone, does it heal right? I mean, all the things that come in with that, especially with a quarterback having to spread out and throw and get knocked down. those things are concerning. The way that the Chiefs went up and down the field, good heavens, man. So, from that perspective, I still feel like the Colts are right in the hunt, man. I mean, again, you lost to a good Chargers team. Went out there, took them to overtime, had a shot, didn't quite complete it. But I think they'll continue to get better as the season goes on. And again, like you said, we'll see Houston tonight. What do they really have? But I'm optimistic. I said this a week or so ago. Don't be surprised. The Colts are going to surprise a lot of people nationally, not people though who know what they're like in that locker room.
Jeff, great to talk to you. And you're coaching again this year? You doing that?
Yeah, we're cranking it up, man, getting this thing going. So we got a big one this Friday. So wish us well, man. Let's take care of some business.
And remind everybody who they need to be rooting for. Which high school?
Hebron Christian Academy.
Yeah,
Hebron Christian Academy. Yeah, man. So y'all buy the flag, support the program. You know what I mean? So I can pay guys like Joe to come back.
Send us the bumper sticker. We're there. Thanks, Jeff. We'll talk to you next Monday, buddy.
All right, sounds great. See you guys.
Jeff Saturday brought to you on the Fan Morning Show with Jeff and Big Joe by More Restoration, experts in fire, environmental, and water damage restoration. You want to go further inside the Colts game against the Chargers yesterday? Kevin Bowen stops by. He'll spend the better part of the next hour with us in studio here on the Fan Morning Show with Jeff and Big Joe on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.